Welcome to our adventure book where we help you turn family travel dreams into unforgettable memories. I'm your host, I'm Jenny,
And I'm Eve.
and this podcast is designed to help take the stress out of family travel. So let's get started.
Yay! In today's episode, we're going to chat about moderate resorts because we recently talked about the value resort. So if you missed that episode, go ahead and pop back and listen to that if that interests you. Disney has four levels of resorts: value, moderate, deluxe, and deluxe villas. So the moderate resorts are right in the middle when it comes to pricing between the value and deluxe, and they also offer more amenities than a value, but there's not as much money as a deluxe resort. So we are excited to talk about those today. Jenny, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off by talking about the Port Orleans resorts. These are sister resorts. There's two of them. There's Port Orleans Riverside, and then there's Port Orleans French Quarter. These resorts are right next to each other. You can walk back and forth between them. You can share a pool between them. They're kind of designed like New Orleans. Port Orleans is very much like you're at Port Orleans French Quarter is very much like you're at Mardi Gras in New Orleans. So it's very Mardi Gras themed with like Mardi Gras beads and like alligators on parade. Obviously, sculptures, not real alligators on parade. That'd be crazy. And then Port Orleans Riverside is much more a relaxed vibe. It's like you're down in the bayou. Both resorts are on the river. They're very calm. The theming is really fun, but also kind of subtle. Um, they have fantastic restaurants. Port Orleans Riverside has a sit-down restaurant that you can enjoy. It also has a bar where there's a man who plays the piano. It's called the Scat Cat Lounge. It's for adults only. It's very fun. His name is Yeehaw Bob, and he's very animated on the piano. So that's a fun place for adults to hang out. Plus, it has a food court, just your typical Disney food court with lots of different food. Port Orleans Riverside also has a fantastic gift shop. It's humongous, very, very large. It's one of my favorite gift shops at any of the resorts. And then it has a pool in the middle of the resort called Old Man's Island. And it's on an island, like you can walk over bridges to get to it. It has buckets that dump water on you. It's like a watering hole style pool. It has a slide. It has a small spa or hot tub, however you call it, which is also nice. That's nice. That's something else you get when you stay at a moderate resort. Port Orleans Riverside also has multiple style rooms, and this is what makes it very popular with guests. They have rooms that have fifth sleepers, so if you're a larger family and you need an extra bed, perfect for that. They have king size bedrooms, so if you're an adult just traveling or a couple, they have that option. And then they have a really fun room called the Royal Room. And this room is in the preferred buildings and it is over the top princess decorated. They actually just recently refurbed these rooms, so it's a brand new, fresh take on princess. Tiana's kind of inviting you to stay in her house. This is the both of these resorts are really themed after Tiana and the whole Louisiana feel. Oh, if we move over, also one more thing. Riverside is large. This resort is super big. It has an internal bus loop. So that means when you go to get on the bus, you're not just going to one bus stop. They have multiple bus stops that you're going to have to go to. So depending on where you stay, you need to check like which building you're in, which bus stop is closest to you. This can take a little bit of extra time to get to the parks. It's not that big of a deal. I wouldn't deter it from you staying at this resort because this resort is still so relaxing and so nice. If you go over to French Quarter, which is just right a walk away, this resort is very, very small and it has like the wrought iron balconies. It's really colorful. It's beautiful. The pool has a giant snake. That's the slide. So your kids can slide out of a snake's mouth. Like I said, it's all about Mardi Gras. So it's very fun vibe. Fun music is playing. They have a breakfast restaurant where they serve Mickey beignets, the famous Mickey beignets. They're so delicious. They even have gluten-free options, which is fantastic. So everyone can enjoy a beignet. And these rooms also come in just two different style rooms. You can get one with two queen beds and you can get one with a king bed. These rooms have recently been refurbished as well. The color is really light pastel, some dark wood. It's just really cozy. Both of these resorts as well offer boat transportation down the river over to Disney Springs, which is just a really nice, fun ride. If you're having a resort day, you've been at the pool, you can always just hop on the boat, take a little ride, even if you don't want to get off at Disney Springs. Just such a fun, great option, and the pricing for these is one of the lowest for the moderate resorts, so I really do recommend this resort when I am, like, letting people know about the options that they can stay at because it's so nice and so peaceful.
Wow, that was a great recap. Excellent. One thing too, isn't that if you stay there, you can use both pools? If you stay at one of the
Yeah.
resorts, you can go to either one of those, which I think is pretty cool.
You can
And
go to both pools, and then a little tip that I've done when we stayed there is because Riverside is very, very big, when you're at the parks and you're wanting to go back to your resort, the bus line can be really long. You can just hop on the French Quarter bus and then get dropped off at French Quarter and just walk over to your room.
I love a good tip like that. I also saw that they do like carriage rides that you can reserve and do like a carriage ride going around. So if you want to do something that's not exactly Disney, but still special, that would be an amazing resort to stay at.
Yeah, and since you mentioned that, I did forget they also have fishing excursions. You can have a guide help you fish off a dock. You can rent a pole where you just fish off the dock by yourself. It is catch and release, so if you catch a fish, you need to throw it back. But yeah, this resort, because it's on the river, also has that fishing option.
Which I really like because maybe you have someone in your party who's not all in Disney and having something different like that just makes it a really nice place to stay for everyone.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about the Caribbean Beach Resort. This is one of the most popular in the moderate resorts. It is a huge resort. There are 1,500 rooms. It's very spread out. So if walking, taking 5 to 15 minutes to get possibly from your room to the front of the lobby or the restaurants isn't ideal for you, then this may not be where you want to stay. But it does have a plus because it's my favorite, Skyliner. So this apparently is the hub of the Skyliner for the moderate resorts. We stayed there maybe 2015, and the Skyliner went in 2019. And so doing what Jenny talked about, that internal bus loop, because that's such a large resort, there are lots of bus stops on that. And that was honestly very frustrating to me. I did not enjoy that, but if that doesn't bother you, or you can look and you can see kind of what village, what island do you want to stay at? And some of them are, closer to the park or closer to the Skyliner or closer to the dining. There's like 5 different islands in the Caribbean that you can stay at there. And they all kind of surround I think it's 45-acre lake. So also, if you aren't super into Disney theming or you want a little break from the parks, not so much the Disney character, this would be a wonderful place to stay because you've got kind of like that relaxed tropical vibe going on. So it's a little bit different. You can they've got beaches, you can stroll around. It's got multiple different dining options. It has a super cute pirate themed pool. Um, let's see, what else? Did I miss anything on
So those
oh,
rooms have also recently been redone as well.
okay, that's good to know. And one thing that is a positive about this resort is that they do have that fifth sleeper as well. So if you're going with a little bit larger family, the rooms aren't huge. It's a kind of like a pull down little bed. We did stay in that fifth sleeper room, and it also only has one bathroom. So if you have 5 people in the room with one bathroom, not my favorite. But it does also have connecting rooms. We went with my parents and we were connected to their rooms. We kicked some kids over there into their room. So there are different options there, but just know this also has a fifth sleeper option.
Yeah, and the new fifth sleeper room is really cute. It has like subtle Little Mermaid theme, which is really nice. It has light wood furniture, really, again, the pastel kind of bright. I think they're moving more towards brighter colors in the rooms because the rooms aren't super big to make it feel bigger.
That would definitely help. This was a long time that we stayed there, but it was a little bit darker and felt small. But it is a really beautiful resort.
Yeah, and this resort also has whole you can rent a boat from this resort and go around on the lake, and you can also do a fishing excursion there as well.
Good to know.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to the last moderate resort, which is Coronado Springs Resort. I just recently stayed here for the first time last October, and I honestly was a little bit blown away by this resort. So, this resort is like a Spanish heritage theme. There's a new tower they built right before 2020, so it actually didn't open. I'm pretty sure it didn't open until after everything reopened after COVID. It is a giant tower with the most beautiful brand new deluxe style rooms. So you will be paying if you just choose to stay in this tower, which it is a little bit more expensive to stay in the tower than the villages, which I'll get into later, but you are paying a moderate price to stay in a deluxe style room. These rooms are gorgeous. They're huge. This whole building is beautiful. The lobby is super grand. When you walk in, there's a bar. It was just over the top beautiful. But Coronado Springs, so you're going to walk into this main room, and then they have these villages around the outside, and that is where the standard rooms are. And these rooms are just two queen beds. This resort does not have a fifth sleeper option, but in the new Destino Tower, Grand Destino Tower, there are suites. So if you're wanting a bigger room, but you don't want to spend a deluxe price, you can stay in one of these suites, and they're also really nice. Real quick, also in the Grand Destino Tower, this is the only moderate resort that has a club level. So that is an option. If you've wanted to stay club level, but you don't want to pay that deluxe price, stay here because this club is one of the best clubs to stay at. It is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. But back to the regular room. So you're in a village that surrounds this giant lake. This lake is so pretty. There's beautiful walking paths around this resort. It was really quiet and peaceful. We loved walking around in the morning, like with a drink before we ate breakfast. Um, Again, as with all the other moderate resorts, this resort is very, very large. So it does have that internal bus loop that you need to keep in mind. So depending on where you're staying, if you're in the village, you're going to need to find your closest bus route and just know that it's going to stop multiple times before it actually leaves to head off to the park. Same thing as when you leave the parks. The line could be really long because there is so many people staying here. But for the most part, they tend to run more buses. This resort also has some really fantastic restaurants, some of the most popular restaurants at Disney. There's a tapas style restaurant that people love. There's another restaurant called Three Bridges that actually has three bridges that connect to it that's out on the lake that is so delicious. You don't need a reservation for it. You can just walk up and eat there. They have mosaic tile making classes here. There's a watercolor canvas painting class that you can take here. You do have to pay for those, but these are all options when you stay at this resort. This resort also has a giant convention center, so a lot of business people will come here and stay here as well. That's kind of why they offer these upgraded rooms and these really good restaurant options because people are coming here and maybe not even going to the parks. They're coming here for a work event or something. They, of course, just like all the other Disney resorts, they do have a food court style restaurant. That had really good food options. It was quite delicious. And it's kind of in the building where there's a lot of windows. So it was very bright, very airy. It felt really, really nice. But if you do decide to stay here, you definitely need to become familiar with the resort because this resort is huge. And it is not even just getting to the buildings that is huge. It is all the restaurants are really spread out. So you really kind of need to know where you're going. We got a little bit lost. Like I was looking for the food court. I went outside. I went to this other building. I had no idea where it was. And someone kind of led me back to where it was. Once I got my bearings, it was easy to get around. But it's actually becoming more popular because of that Grand Destino Tower. This building is just stunning, beautiful, beautiful, like tile mosaic work in the rooms. It just has two queen beds, one bathroom, but it is a great option for families and it is at a very, very low price point. So you could stay in a really nice place for not a lot of money.
Well, that's great. I think that's a really good option for a lot of people. And once again, you broke it down wonderfully.
Well, thank you. So, moving into our next segment, let's get into our adventure book tip of the week, which is which resort we think is going to be best for you depending on your trip type. So, Eve, what do you have for us?
Okay, I would just say basically, I tend with a larger family to lean more towards bigger rooms or different sleeping configurations where there's some different options, whether you're getting two adjoining rooms or you have that fifth sleeper option. So if you're in that boat, look at the Caribbean Beach or the Port Orleans Riverside with that fifth sleeper option. I think that's really nice. Um, yeah, that's basically my little tip on that.
My tip would be if you are going on an adults only trip, I think you should stay at Port Orleans French Quarter. This resort is so romantic. It's so nice and quiet and peaceful and very, very small. It is probably, I think it's the smallest resort on property. So it's easy to just walk around. Your room is going to be right by the lobby. Your room is going to be right by the bus stop, right by the shops, the restaurants, and then right by the boat dock where you can take that boat over to Disney Springs. It's just really quiet because a lot of families don't stay here because the rooms are only two queen beds and a king bed, or families with like smaller families with older kids tend to stay here as well. So it's just very romantic with the wrought iron balconies, gives you a great feeling.
Yeah, I think that one sounds really nice, especially if you're someone who might get overwhelmed by Disney, or overwhelmed by the large resorts, or you just need a little peace and quiet. I think that's a great place to consider.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, awesome. Well, why don't we go ahead to our next little magical moment section and share some magical moments from a moderate resort stay? Go.
So when my daughter and I took our first girls' trip, she was in fourth grade. So I wanted it to be a little bit special, just her and I. So we decided to stay in a royal room at Port Orleans Riverside. And this was back when the royal rooms were a little bit more gaudy than they are now. The new refurb is much more subtle. Back then, it was over the top. It was like you walked into this room, it had gold everything, giant gold picture frames, big fake, like Aladdin style rugs on the floor. The headboard was really large and had this sparkling Tiana scene and really bright, bold color bedding, like dark purples, dark reds. And when we walked into that room, Amelia was so excited. She didn't know we were staying there. I kind of surprised her with it. And it was just a really special moment that kind of kicked off our trip in a really great way because we had this special room. And I just love the fact that they have these special rooms that aren't like overpriced or, anyone for the most part could really fit this into their budget because this room isn't expensive and you get this like little extra perk that, to stay in it to just kind of add to your trip.
Oh, that's so great. I remember when you took that trip and you sending pictures of you guys kind of standing out on the grass and seeing the iron balconies and you talking about just how easy it was to get there because it was so much smaller with all the
So,
transportation.
so easy.
That's awesome. Well, I've only ever stayed at the Caribbean beach. And when we went, my kids were 5, 7, and 9. And I think a magical moment for me is when we first got there and going out and standing on one of the sandy beaches and the sun was setting and the three of them kind of hugging and looking around and going, this isn't what you kind of think of as Disney. It felt more tropical vacation. Um, but I'm definitely going to say Port Orleans. All those are on my list. I want to go say all those, especially after you recap on all of them.
They are really fun, and that is one great thing, kinda like you mentioned with the moderate resorts, is they don't feel over the top Disney. So, it's kind of nice when you're at the parks all day and it's just all the Disneys in your face, you can go back to this nice relaxing resort that has a
Mhm.
totally different vibe.
Yeah, a little less stimulation, a little more relaxing vibe,
Yes.
but still all the Disney great dining, transportation, being taken care of, everything. You're going to find all of that there, more amenities in the value resorts.
Yep. Okay, so that is all for today's show. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you're listening to the show, or make sure you follow the show wherever you're listening to it. If you're listening to it on Apple Podcast or Spotify, we would love it if you left a positive 5-star review for us. If you know someone who's traveling to Disney or just traveling with their family soon and needs a little bit of encouragement, please share the show. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like it and comment below. What is your favorite moderate resort? Do you have any questions about moderate resorts? We would love to start a conversation with you there.
Yes, we would love to hear from you. And please join in every Wednesday for a new episode. And remember, the best stories are the ones you live together.